so I'll read from brusquely. At the bottom lay the cloth, its odors poisonous to the air. Redundantly the count, numbers recorded, sexes determined, until finally an adequate description of their ecology was pronounced. They need to reproduce, said the scientist. It is a biological imperative. Without it, their behavior becomes erratic, even unpredictable. The clock evidenced the recording of the signature of time. The book took down the flies. It would seem to me, to more accurately understand their behavior, it would be preferable to capture them in flight, as it were, perhaps in camera? Alas, no, replied the officer, with rag in hand. The gas is at least a permanent reminder. That's the end of that one. The second piece I've chosen because, and it's not exactly emblematic of all my work, but it's sort of an aid to those safes, those fire safes, which I, for many reasons, love. Not the least of which is the individual that I spent a few summers living in a trailer with. Probably the closest I've ever come to being in love. Anyway, it's called An Unsafe Cracker. A friend and I once went to an open mic evening in a part of town not frequented by students. One of the musical numbers told the tale of a little box of memories. It was sung by an old woman, and I almost cried at the beauty and truth in her song. Being obviously uneducated, she did not rely upon the usual lyrical house which so played country music at the time. Indeed, she was free to weave her lyrical magic into the 4/4 3-bar blues her friend pounded out without tempo beside her. I didn't think about it again for years. As my marriage had run its course through my continuous philandering, I'd almost run out of concubines to impress. As it happened, I was fortunate to have an interesting type sort of invite herself into my life, helping me to clear the cobwebs, as it were, from my social life. During a visit to my farm, she held up a small fireproof safe in my trailer and asked what it contained. In reality, it was bait, an empty box, keyless. I just kept it under the assumption if someone broke into my airstream, they might fear being caught and would possibly run with the first object of value they came across. What do people keep in safes but money? It was the perfect diversion from the other treasures I had surrounded myself with. Afraid the truth might get out, as well as being aware of the way she had pocketed my shortwave radio, my pen set, and a few works of art, I had decided it would be best to lie. Remembering that night in Halifax with my dorm room buddy, and combining it with my acute psychological awareness, I formulated a story. Over the years, I told her, during times of special importance to me, I had acquired the habit of picking up odds and ends. If I were on a canoe trip with my children, I suggested, I would pick up a pebble from the stream bed where my son had shared a particular point of view, allowing me insight into his psyche. At a dance recital, I may pull a thread from my daughter's flower arrangement, whatever. In any case, the safe, I suggested, was full of what most would consider garbage, but which created a type of organic, living memory of events and people that meant the most in the world to me. I'll never open it with anyone present, I said, staring at the flooring of the trailer, which I had thought should be replaced with hardwood, perhaps maple or oak. I invariably start crying and wish every person, every event could be within my reach, and I know that's just not possible. Oh, Joey, she said, you're a romantic, as she ran toward me, hugging me. I feared that my torment over which type of flooring to choose had inadvertently conveyed the message that I was sensitive, but made love to her vigorously with no mention of my ignorance of flooring supplies. After quelling her agitatedly needy sexual appetite, we went out for a drive. Stop here, she squealed, as I hit the brakes in unison with her apparent excitement. She ran from the car and picked up a flower from the roadside. This is for our box, she said, with a grin as wide as Toledo, wherever that is. I feigned a smile I had reserved for amputees who show off their new limbs. I'll put it in when I get back, I said. I dropped her off at our old apartment in town and began the return trip to the farm. Feeling somewhat ill and being reminded of the sort of perfume found at many seniors' complexes, I turned to look at the back seat. "Goddamn Lupin," I said, tossing it out the window as I crossed the bridge out of town. She continued this habit for the rest of that summer, often preventing me from my work, sleep, or other duty, to get me to stop, to allow her time to find just the right piece of crap for our box. I didn't mind, I told myself. She'll never get inside my safe. And just accepting her little peace offerings made up for my intolerance, impatience, and usual gruff manner. She could put aside all of that and focus on the deeper inner me, the one with the little box of memories. After driving the 400+ kilometers it took to fetch her from the city, we arrived at my farm. She hopped from the passenger side, a glow from our lovemaking along the way, intensified by our discovery of some drug paraphernalia. An errant hitchhiker had obviously left under my seat and made her way toward the airstrip. "Don't you lock it anymore?" she queried. I jumped from the truck I had leased through the farm and ran for the trailer. The door was slightly ajar. "The airstream had been breached," I cried. She pushed me aside and began an inventory of what was missing from its contents. From inside, I just walked. From outside, I walked, dazed back and forth, consoling myself to the fact they had not found the keys to the Enduro parked beside the trailer. As she finished, I could hear her voice getting closer to the now fully open aluminum door of the airstream. Finally, she arrived at its entrance. "But look at what they failed to find," she said as she opened the inside screen door to reveal herself standing in the kitchen with an open fireproof safe. I looked at the safe and then at her. It was as if all those afternoons we had spent alleviating her chronic requests for satisfaction had been tallied up, and she was presenting me with the bill. As she stood there, her posture suggested that she had known all along, that she had possibly even shaken the damn thing, may even seen me throw out the offer she made to be its contents. "Okay," I said, "knock it off."